Alright, what is poppin', people? We're back, and today, we got week 5 of SCL games to go over. Because I'm gonna cover every week. I'm dedicated to it. It's gonna happen. And we got, honestly, this is... I've been saying it, I've expected the games to get to be higher quality as we've gone on. I think this week was the best so far. I really liked some of the games we had. If I'm just going over, because I didn't watch all of the replays. Like this one, I'm gonna let you know right now, I did not watch this game. I did not watch this game. But I thought, I didn't watch all of this one either, but I thought this game... Okay, wait, which game did I watch? This was the one. This one, we're saving this one for last. Confide Siri. This was a great game, I really enjoyed it. But we also got some interesting team choices again. Some things I'm gonna note out right now. Sandaconda. Unironically, a Pokemon I've considered before. Mostly because if you're comparing it to Mudsdale, that's gonna be the best comparison you can get because they're defensive ground types that aren't really passive because of their natural attack stat. The only reason I considered it before is because of Glare. Glare's a pretty stupidly good move. And so a couple times I've been like, hey, why not? We see from TDK in this game that he brought in Articuno. I think his rationale was he wanted... I forget what it was he said, but I know he said he wanted Heal Bell. And then something else. I'd have to check the NU Discord. Let me see if I can find that, actually. Let's see. I also gotta find the channel that it was in. Let's go. Okay. Give me a second. I want to find why he said that he had that. Hold on. Can I just search TDK? Search from... Oh my god. Come on. Come on, Discord. TDK. What if I search... Oh, what? No. Okay. We're not gonna find it, I don't think. Wait. Okay, so I found the context for when it was being used. Okay. Ah, here it is. I was running Articuno because I wanted to fit Heal Bell onto the team. It lets Starmie run Analytic better because getting status by Vaporeon is kinda ungood. Okay, so yeah, it's literally just Heal Bell. Now, he also, yeah, he wanted Analytic on this. I will say, I guess my question would be, then why don't you run Sylveon over Articuno? But I'm assuming it would just have to do with, like, Articuno being a little bit better of an answer to, like, Dragalge. Yeah, you still get, it's gonna Sludge Bomb you and potentially poison you, but you threaten damage back more reliably because of the speed and actually having super effective move. Like, Dragalge could, in theory, contest with Sylveon's speed, depending on how you're EVing. So, there's that. Also, just seeing a Weezing's kind of cool. Mon's not overly common, but, yeah, again, this game I didn't watch at all, but the only Doublade of the week, and we also see a Ditto, which is, it's interesting. Also, another Serena. I'm on record saying this somewhere, it might just be in a new Discord. I'm honestly a fan of Serena. I think it's not that bad. Obviously suffers a lot because of Rotom Mow being, better. It does a lot of the same stuff, except while it being faster. But, pivot, hazard removal, shares the typing. But Serena does have some things going for it. And then just, I think Sabella's team is a great example of the reason some people thought Quagsire could be not necessarily a staple of NU, but a decent Pokemon. Just Quagsire being able to go on balance like this. And from Hoenn we see some Dragon Spam. Now, looking at like the teams and how they're gonna win, I honestly don't hate Hoenn's win condition in this game, which is pretty much just overload the Sylveon and Bronzong, and then like Passimian could maybe clean. Actually, no, I hate the win con. No, never mind. My bad. So, I remember when I first looked at the preview of this game. Here we go. We're remembering our thoughts now. I felt, if this was a Copperajah, that it would be a little bit better for Hoenn's team overall. For two reasons. One, I think Copperajah is a better Pokemon than Duraludon. That's maybe a hot take to some people, but let me explain why, right? So, I was kidding there, but Copperajah, I just generally value its offensive synergy with Passimian. Obviously, it's doing the same stuff as Dura. The reason Dura's on this team is for speed, right? Owen's team is super slow without the Duraludon. But if we're talking just overall team synergy, I value Copperajah a little bit more because I like how it's able to, like Passimian, draw in T-Flame and potentially catch it out with rock coverage. If you run Heat Crash, you can pressure Vileplume and potentially levitate Bronzong. You know, as we said before, with Silvally Ground being a little bit more common, we do see more levitate Bronzongs nowadays. Now, I think on Sabala's team, he would be heat-proof. Although it's hard to say because there's a lot of overlap between his defensive Pokemon and what they handle. But I will say that I'd guess heat-proof because he's got the Quagsire. So levitate becomes a little bit less necessary, and heat-proof lets you better handle Copperajah overall. And while this team isn't weak to Copper, it does make it easier to pivot around in that regard. I would give Sabella just an edge from preview, mostly because I feel it's very hard for Hoenn to break through his team. He's got the Dragon spam, right? And obviously Duraludon plus Dragalge both make that Sylveon really cautious of ever wanting to switch into them because of their other stab attack. So you should be able to keep forcing damage onto Bronzong. So we'll see how this goes. Now, at lead, we see the Bronzong versus Dragalge. You always are going to stay in. I don't think you have a Rock, because Xatu's always going to come in. So yeah, we do see a Psychic. And I was also just thinking to myself here, I kind of value Raj a little bit more, just because if you have an Assault Vest Copperajah over Duraludon, I like the matchup into offensive water types a little bit more. Obviously, it's not important for this game, because you didn't queue into one, but there's a lot of pressure being put on Sylveon to handle things like Choice Specs Inteleon and Starmie. Even like Shell Smash Blastoise, you're a little reliant on having Sylveon at full. And in Hoenn's defense, I know he likes Spadef Sylveon. Not like full Spadef, but he runs a decent amount on Sylveon. So he's not really weak to them. And you still have Dragalge anyway as a soft check. Duraludon does not count. It takes like 5 million from Hydro Pump and gets outsped and killed. But I still value the insurance it gives you. And yeah, it's not too important. So, yeah. Fun fact, Eternally and I was just spectating Eternally laddering. And we actually ran into Sabala testing this team the day of the game. And when I believe Eternally had this exact same thing happen to him. He had Xatu out versus Bronzong, and he got caught by a Shadow Ball. I was just like, oh no. And yeah, Duraludon comes out here. It's gonna flinch fish. It's a little annoying, but you can't always switch to Sylveon here. Hoenn's gonna make a really good double. Now, I'm Sabla, I always stay in there because I'm very intelligent. Unfortunately, Sabla is significantly more intelligent than me. It makes the very safe play, because Flip Turn isn't going to damage us anyway. And yeah, he actually gets smashed by that Psychic. Wow. I don't know why we went Passimian on that turn, honestly. Let me think real quick. Why would I go pass here? So Zong comes out to the pivot. You Flip Turn versus it. Yeah, I don't know. Why'd we flip there? Or no, flip is fine. Flip is the best play. I'm more just wondering why we went for, Passimian. Oh, wait. It's because... Never mind. I already tried blocking out Shadow Ball from my memory. Yeah, Xatu could get caught by, Shadow Ball, so he's just going past there, hoping for the Shadow Ball, I guess. Now, I will also say that I still think if you're predicting an attack, that you go Sylveon there. But, you know, it happens. Hoenn's very heavily punished, though, because not only does he take the psychic damage, he also gets burned as he knocks the T-Flame. Also suspect Sylveon, because that damage is unholy. Wow, okay. So, the Sylveon gets to click Hyper Voice forever. This is also kind of why Raj fixed a little bit better. You don't have a Fairy Resist on this team. And because of how strong Spec Sylveon is, it really does dent your just generic special wall. It's sort of like when you build with Vaporeon as your primary Spec Sylveon switch in. It's not fun. And while you can stall out H-Voices, like you're bulky enough to lock them into that Wish Protect sequence, where you will even win the PowerPoint war, it's still annoying. Also, we're going to see Sabla just get a little bit more chip here. Again, probably just Shadow Ball, again, I imagine. Psychic works as well. And I mean, here you can always fish for special defense drops, so it's not even that big of a deal. And burning Roost from the Xatu helps long term as well. I do think Sabala's team is very well equipped to handle the long game like that. So he's pretty content to just force Xatu to burn Roosts, and he even kept it at 27. So Xatu may have been able to pivot in that one time versus Bronzong when it was at like 42 after taking 41. Now it is not in range of avoiding that KO. Now again, we're just going to see the Sylveon consistently make progress. And yeah, so he might rock here. Shadow Balls. But that was a 50-50. In the sense that if he stays in a Protect, well, you might be seeding rocks. If he goes Xatu, well, you might be getting Shadow Balled. So he makes the mid ground of, like, I guess just saying, eh. Duraludon getting it in a comfortable position to break is still really good. It is going to throw off a Dark Pulse, but rocks go up here, so not bad from Sabala. He can always go into his own Sylveon here on the Dark Pulse as well. And with rocks up, this mon is going to be very hard to switch into. It officially will always 2-hit KO, I believe, with rocks up versus the Sylveon. So I think at this point, well, he's very low on Hyper Voice Power Points, so that's something to be cognizant of. But in general, I expect Sylveon should be able to farm. Please double back. He didn't. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Question now is he gonna start Dracoing? And no, he just keeps Dark Pulsing. So Mud's gonna come out as T-Flame comes out. Roost's gonna happen. I think you always are rocking here, so I would U-turn into Sylveon. Because at this point, Sylveon, the Sylveon on Hoenn's side does not check it. And yep, good sack from Hoenn. Simeon is no longer all that necessary. He also freely burned a Power Point. Unfortunately, this is still a very free switch out from Sabala, so it's not, you know, as much pressure as you'd like to generate. And then you just Scald here. Just make sure Xatu doesn't get a free switch in, ever. Yeah. And I think at this point, it's generally pretty trivial for Sabala to win. Because this Bronzong. This Duraludon is going to have to get every switch, like, he's going to have to make every read properly. Between, like, Sylveon maybe pivoting in on Dark Pulse or Draco, and Bronzong covering, like, a Flash Cannon. Or even Quagsire just staying in on a Flash Cannon. Now, he does have this Talonflame that he can always sack. The speed is just not necessary at this point. You've gotten rid of, like, most things. It doesn't threaten Dura. And yeah, I mean, you have no ground immunity at this point, so even Earthquake from Quagsire is actually going to be able to put in a lot of work. He's going to go Mudsdale here. I mean, that doesn't really do you anything, though. I guess he could go for the Poison with Toxic here, but I think, yeah. He actually Earthquakes again instead of Scalding. I'm not entirely sure why. I think he just wants to prevent Dragalge from getting extra leeway. Because Dragalge plus Dura is still threatening. I just feel at this point, we're going to see Sabala just very patiently play this game out. And we do see the reveal of Protect. Shout out to my video where I said Protect last on Dragalge is in fact good. But he's just going to throw off H-Voices. If he doesn't get a Poison? Ah. So yeah, now this will claim 1. It will be Death Foddered obviously afterwards. Hey, keep it for Sack Fodder. But look at Sylveon. It put in a lot of work this game, just through pressuring Hoenn Sylveon, and then even getting to take out this. I think putting a lot of pressure on Sylveon was good, because it just meant it could never really get a Wish Pass off to the Xatu. So this Mon was constantly kept low after the Bronzong was able to bait it in. I think that's really good. At this point, Heliolisk just cleans. I don't know if he's a Scarf or Specs on this build. Probably Scarf, or like, I guess it could be E-Belt. But Helio will be able to clean, just because the Dragalge and the Sylveon are too low. I don't remember what this thing's last move was, whether it was a third attack or Toxic, but I do think that it should be able to claim both Sylveon and Dragalge. Also, fair warning, the last game of this coverage that we're going to be looking at, it's a little long. There end up being like 50 turns of just PowerPoint stalling, so once we get to that point, I will probably just skip the rest. And yep, Hoen's gonna, you know, wish pass to Galgi here. I actually also like that little bit of synergy there. You could wish if you need to just fodder Sylveon and then guarantee a wish pass, which is kind of cool. That's not the intended, you know, the intended use for Protect, but it is, you know, it's there. And then, yeah, that gets KO'd. So, next game, Charm Flash vs PDT. As we said, this is the only Deblade usage of this week, which a little surprising to me. There may be the idea that people would over-prep for Deblade. It could also just be people not wanting to use it too early after its drop, because they want to make sure, okay, are we, like, sold on the proper pairings? Also, hey, I'ma just say right now, when I did the Deblade video, I did say Rhydon plus Sylveon plus Deblade could be a kind of cool pairing. This team gets eaten by Dragalge. Yes, that is true, but I did say that that pairing could be cool. So I will take full credit for PDT's defensive core here. All of it goes to me. You're welcome. And every time I see a Galarfisk, I just die a little bit more on the inside. I will keep it a buck with y'all. The mod isn't unviable. I will still meme the people that use it, because I think it's kind of fun too. And it's all in good fun anyway, so there ain't no malicious intent behind it. But every time I see it, I'm just like, man, what if this was a Steelix? Then that'd be a good Pokemon. Gunfisk gets usage in part because the typing it has is just so good. We could see that through Steelix. The difference obviously being that Stunfisk Galar's got a lot more overall bulk. It's still got good physical bulk, but the special bulk that it has naturally is just a little bit better too. Which does help. And yeah, looking at Charm Flash's team, I wouldn't be shocked if this is a setup T-Flame of some sort. Otherwise, I'm just kind of left wondering, like, how are you trying to win games? You know? This team is very... Like, I'm not going to say his team is bad, because I don't think it is. I'm more just like, there's a lot to take in here, you know? This is not at all a standard-looking build. And while I know Charm Flash is known for using bulkier builds, which just definitely qualifies as one, I'm still kind of wondering, like, what are the sets? Because I'd imagine... The one time we've seen Serena, it was Scarf. I don't know if it has to be Scarf Serena when you got T-Flame. I don't think a Scarfer is necessary on an NU team. Which makes me then ask, okay, is it like... Say he's just calling a semi-stall, and then this is like a CB Serena. Or maybe just like boots 4 attacks. I don't know. Because you could still pretty easily justify Rapid Spin with Xatu as like your other means of hazard control to support like SD, T-Flame, or even just like bulk up Wisp. I don't think that's bad. Guess we'll just have to see. If I'm looking at PDT's team, how would I say he needs to win this game? It's a little tricky because obviously Ditto is gonna keep in check any setup sweeper he has on his team. I do think that Rhydon, pending what its moveset is, could be a little bit annoying. A lot of Vaporeon do still run that extra special bulk just so they can panic answer Blastoise if they need to, and also just match it better into things like Starmie, for instance. If he's like Heat Crash, Stone Edge, Earthquake, Rocks, though, that is pretty annoying for Charm Flash to switch into. That special bulk really does make it hard for Vaporeon to take on some of these physical ground types. Especially if, like, say, Goodra, or even Doublade, to be fair, is able to force some chip onto Vaporeon, and Rhydon even goes stupider. Now, unfortunately, a lot of them do just end up running, like, Smackdown or Swords Dance last. So, the odds of it being Heat Crash and being able to just insta-give Serena are pretty low. I do think it's still something to consider. I will say that I probably would lean Charm Flash favored, just from how the team's match preview-wise. I'm mostly just not seeing a great way for PDT to get past this team. Sirfetch'd could do it. You know, you get the right crits, you avoid burns. I mean, even if you get burned, you still have Sylveon on the team. Well, let's see how this ends up playing out. We're going to see the Ditto lead. I think Ditto lead's always just very safe, because it lets you scout out the movesets of your opponent, just straight up. Ah. Excellent. Thank you, thank you, Charm Flash. Okay, so it's Scarf Road and Bow. Cool. And he's gonna knock immediately. Wow. And get burned immediately. And seeing that damage, we do know he's Leak. He just got a little bit unlucky. And Rhydon is also gonna get Wisped immediately. So, while PDT does have the Cleric on his team, we are, you know, he is being put on the back foot early on. Yo, is this Bandit like I said it could be? Wait a minute, is this Bandit Serena? Hey yo. Hey yo, wait. I want to calc that, hold up. Let's open up the calc real quick. Was that Bandit? Also sorry if you're watching this during the nighttime and this is harming your eyes. There's nothing I can do about this, so okay, BizDef, sure. +1. So if it was Bandit with Adamant, it'd be doing that much. What is Bandit Jolly? There is a chance that this is Jolly CB Serena. I think it actually is. I think that just is Jolly CB maybe? Unless it's, I'm trying to think. It could be that he's got some special bulk, but that would make these rolls just like consistently low. I'm gonna assume this is CB given that damage, but it's not. Okay, he knocks. So those are just, that's like a really specially bulky Sylveon then. Okay. He's gonna knock the Gudra's E-Belt here. Gonna see a T-Bolt come out because I do think it's fair to predict this to come out. He actually makes a hard ass read. Wow, good shit. This here's gonna come back out here. And I will also say, PDT does have the mental game a little bit more in his side now, because Charm Flash cannot just say his sets in chat after scouting them out with the Ditto. So that is something to take note of. We're gonna see an Iron Head versus the Talonflame. This thing is really thriving with spreading burns. And it's gonna go back to the Serena as the Sylveon comes out, because as we saw, this thing is, what I'm gonna assume it is that this Sylveon has pretty minimal physical bulk investment. And I think you could justify that between Doublade and Rhydon. They really do enable that for Sylveon. And this is just like max attack, right? So item, I mean, it could be pads. You know, if you're, remember back to the video I did with Joey? We ran pads Serena. It wasn't too bad. GG by Daves. Shoutouts the GOAT 6-4. Damn. Oh, you know what? Now I understand why there was the meme post in the commencement thread about Charm Flash. Okay, that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, at this point, yeah, there's not a whole lot PDT's team can do. All of his breakers are burned, and Serena will always keep the Rotom-Bow in check. So it's just gonna be kind of a slow burn. I do wonder, did we ever see what this Serena set was? I don't think so. Also, I keep scrolling down on the window backs, and yeah, I don't think we ever saw what the item was. My guess would be pads or boots, though. I guess he could be Miracle Seed, if we want to say that the Serena did have physical bulk, and he was just getting maybe mid to high rolls with Whip versus it. But I'm not able to confirm that for myself. And yeah, the Rotom-Bow is going to trick the Galarfisk. I'm not sure how much that matters. Yeah, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. And he actually is also Sludge Bomb. I hate that this can run Sludge Bomb and it not be, like, a bad choice. Like, that there being a notable target for it is just so depressing. Oh my lord. Also, Rotom-Bow just continuing its really low win rate in every team tour. Look, I still believe Rotom-Bow is a top 5 Pokemon in the tier, and that part of the reason it struggles is because teams prep so hard for it. Oh. He is the counter Rhydon. Not bad. And yeah, I'm still a huge fan of Rotom-Bow. In part, too, because I think it is able to patch up a lot of teams. Just because, you know, it gives you defog, pivot, ground immunity. A lot of good comes from that Pokemon. But, oh my lord. Hard to ignore the amount of shortcomings that it's faced. Yeah, let's go to the next game. So now we got TDK versus Kushalis. I think for many people this was the highlight match of this week. These were the two highest rated people coming into the tournament. And, well, I mean, they've been two of the highest performing players so far. So, looking at teams, I mean, I instantly note that Kushalis' team is pretty slow, at least on paper. Now, from what I've, read, just based on... Pause. I remember how to speak. From what I've just read from after the game, I do know that it is Scarf, Golurk, and Tyrantrum. It's like Scarf, Rocks, Teatrum. So, is it actually a slow team? No. It just looks like one. But, TDK with the, Braviary actually is a really pretty solid matchup if that Tyrantrum ever goes down. I don't know what the set the Braviary is going to be. Based on teams, though, I honestly wouldn't be shocked. I feel like it would be bulk up. Just because, like, what, Scarf Pass, we know he's Analytic Starmie. So it's not like he's running some jank support set or something. If we're just thinking about how you put together a lovely balance build, Scarfer, Wallbreaker, Wincon. Simple. This isn't really a great Articuno game at all. It will be faster than Golurk, if it's not Scarf Lurk, of course. Well, I mean, I don't know, could this still outspeed a Scarf Golurk? No, right? Yeah, no, no, even Adamant Scarf Lurk would be faster. Okay, good, just making sure. I didn't realize that Articuno had such a low speed tier. I just always get it mixed up with how Zapdos is like base 100 or something. It's sitting down at like 85, I think. Yeah, that's 85. Oof. Is there anything else really I have to say from preview? Not really. I think this really is just going to be, does TDK win with Braviary? And if so, is it because he gets rid of the Teatrum? That'd be my guess. I guess you need to also be careful around Rotom-Mow, but if you're like sub-bulk up, then Rotom-Mow isn't nearly as big an issue. And yeah, we're just going to see the Pumper come out immediately. And he is going to T-Bolt the next turn and full para. So I guess that's what they meant by this game was made a little bit worse from the paras. Wow, that is an immaculate recover of 10%. Is he going to get full parried here too? Oh, he does. Wow. Okay, so so Starmie's in a really good spot now. Kushala still has this Escavalier, right? And Escavalier plus Vaporeon still forces at least some awkward prediction needed from TDK. Because Escavalier's, going to come in on T-Bolt and Ice Beam. Vaporeon can block any Hydro attempts. But two things, right? So one, TDK is still incredibly favored in that exchange. He could throw off T-Bolts really freely. And it's not like he cares about a Golurk coming out because he outspeeds Scarflurk. But two, yeah, it takes one prediction, like going wrong from Kushalos, to lose that Vaporeon. So, pass comes out. We do see that it's confirmed Scarf, so we're not looking at, some random, I don't know, CB Pissimian. And, yeah, Weezing is going to wall this forever. Is it Helmet? It is. The Starmie's back out. And I think every time the Starmie comes out, we face a problem. Yeah, so here's what we meant by one prediction. T-Bolt's just so safe for him to click. It's like you have to play your Rotom-Mow really aggressively with this team, right? And just feign that you're Scarfed. Which, he didn't bother trying to do. He is going to get the knock off on the Weezing there, so that's going to make pivoting very, very free. And, yeah, this is really Articuno's only use this game. I guess it can do some stuff to annoy the Rotom-Mow, especially if it's like... Well, I was going to say especially if it's Nasty Plot, but if it's Plot, you're just slower anyway. You're slower regardless. Yeah, no, Nasty Plot is particularly problematic. Oof. And we don't see lefties from Braviary. Now, it could still be like heavy-duty boots. With bulk up CC Brave Bird Roost. We do see this as confirmed plot. Okay, that makes sense on this team. And yeah, this is especially defensive Togedemaru. Okay, this is full sped up. Now, fun fact, as we've shown in an earlier video, shout out to Danny that you had to be death fodder for it. But Nasplat Rotom-Mow can break Togedemaru. It's not going to have that leeway versus this team because even if it plots to +6, you have Articuno. So that is, you know, something I can still come in and try to make it more awkward as you're dancing around toxic turns. And yeah, I mean, at this point, there's not too much to say. Those early turn paras have... Yeah, they really swung this game in TDK's favor hard. Like, it made it a lot easier. Made it a lot easier. Because at this point, you know, Starmie, at least on paper, if you don't know that these are... Or you don't know this is Scarfed, Starmie just kind of picks kills. Obviously, even if this is Scarf Golurk, it's slower than a Starmie, so... Doesn't really matter too much. Locks into Dynamic Punch, so I just assume the Mudstale's gonna come out here. Oh. TDK, why would you Deathfire this? Why would you do that? You gotta preserve the 6-0. Because I think, seeing this lets you know that it's Scarfed. This outsped an Articuno, man. Come on. But he is gonna give him the Articuno, knowing that he doesn't have to, you know, make any risky plays at this point. And haha, funny. Getting to guarantee an H-Pump land because of the Golurk Snow Guard. That is fun. And yeah, I mean, there's not too much to say at this point of the game. I do agree with what people have been saying about this game, is that the Paralysis versus Vaporeon and the, like, double full para really early on made this game very hard for TDK to lose. Let's see if he stays in here. Nope, he does switch. Okay, so he is respecting the threat of Scarf Tyrantrum at least. I don't know if it was ever confirmed Scarf at a point. But, you know. He is at least playing around the fact that it could be. We're gonna see a Cavalier go for a Swords Dance, and he is Spidef SD. But I don't think this really matters. You are not breaking the horse. It is never happening. And, yeah, there's not really a great way to win. I think at this point, he's just trying to get as much chip as possible on the horse, in the hopes that Scarf Tyrantrum could maybe clean with Head Smash. Okay, well, there's the GG's thrown out. Maybe he's not. Yeah. This is kind of over. This is looking mighty over. Okay, he's gonna plot here. He's gonna die to U-turn. And now the horse, not the horse, Starmie's coming out. It's okay, you just have to land Head Smash, but dodge versus the spiky shield. Right, so that's the win con. You miss here. Okay. Right, so obviously I'm kidding a little bit. I don't think that... I'm unsure if there was actually a way for the Tyrantrum to win. I don't know if you could ever break Mudsdale under any circumstances. But hey, man, if he dodged the... If he missed Head Smash here, he wouldn't have died to Spiky Shield, and he could have killed it the next turn. I'm just assuming, at least, that Head Smash KOs Spidef Togedemaru from that range. And yeah, we got another Galarian game. Shoutouts to Pokeslice. Your boy getting that mad representation. And... if I'm looking at the teams, what do I think is going to be on these teams? I mean, again, this is another game where I imagine you'd be bulk up Braviary. You know? I just think it fits really well onto the team. Another route that I could see is CB Braviary. And you just try to, like, break through the opponent's Mons with Braviary plus Dragalge, in the hopes that Passimian with, you know, Scarf Pass can clean late. And in general, Scarf Pass is pretty good this game. Sandaconda's got enough enough physical bulk to where you're not worried about taking CCs too much. At least not the first CC. And Dragalge and Mantine both prevent just safe CC spam. But I do think that you've got the means to at least pressure them overall. And then there's a lot of pressure being put on all of Roger Blue's Star's team to try to figure out a way to handle this Braviary, especially depending on its set. So if this is like sub-bulk up, right, it kind of just eats this team. Because your immediate counterplay is probably Bronzong. Well, no. Bronzong is going to make any non-CB Braviary's life quite hard. Alright, hold on. Recalibrate. The Xatu's gonna shut down the Bronzong. That's not too big of a deal. And I do just assume it'd be Rock's Sanda. It doesn't have to be. But when you generally when you see like defensive ground plus Bronzong, and defensive ground is generally gonna be a Mudsdale. In this case, it's a Sandaconda, but usually when you see that, it ends up being our defensive Bronzong. Regardless, Xatu should match well into it. And we're going to see the Galgi lead immediately, and so we get to just drop Draco. It is always... That did 50! Are you Specs, my guy? Yo! Alright, well, we have found Spextra Galgi. Okay. Also, lovely Heat Wave right there to catch damage onto the Rotom Mow. Obviously, I mean, it's Bronzong for some damage anyway. But lovely damage. And he even gets the pass it on the predicted trick. Oof. Oh my lord. My bad, I haven't said anything about these first few turns. I got so caught off guard by just Spextra Galgi. Yeah, okay, so no, this makes a lot more sense then. I do think it's Bulk Up Braviary. Because Spextra Galgi, as we saw, yeah, it makes progress versus Bronzong. Yep, it makes progress versus the Zonger. And yep, okay, Dragon Pulse also good. Yep. Oh my lord, this game's great. Mirko Mantine as the immaculate counterplay to the Spextra Galgi. Alright, I'm with it. Mantine comes out again as the Galarian comes in. He is gonna rock up. This might be Trick plus Defog Rotom Mow, like we saw in the PDT game. I just don't envision that your Mantine is Scald Roost Mirko Defog. That sounds like a very awkward moveset. It's gonna come out again here, it's gonna Scald, and yeah, I do think these Scalds confirm that it's not God. Defog, I think he would have gone for it there. Which unfortunately makes these next just sequence of turns, right? It's not gonna be a fun one to watch. Okay, so he is Hurricane. Yeah, I don't know what y'all want me to say here. This is going to be both Pokemon just kind of sitting in front of each other. Because Sensei Axie doesn't, you know, with Dragalge gone, he doesn't have a Mon that really wants to switch in. Now that full para is very well timed. Yeah, he is sub-bulk up. Okay. Hey, man, look at that. My beginning prediction was more or less accurate. But the matchup for Axie against just bulky water types, not Dragalge, isn't the best. And he is going to switch. This ends up being Rock's Iron Defense. Wait, no, we already said he's got a Sanda, my bad. This does end up being Iron Defense, like we thought. Now Xatu's going to fire some Psychics for the Mantine, which not overly important, but potentially opens up CC win for pass if he can ever get the damage to stick. I mean, Dragalge's at full, but Mon's physical bulk isn't that great, so CC probably is still doing like 40-ish, 35-40 when you factor in Stealth Rock. And, I mean, yeah, Bronzong's going to be consistently shut down by the Xatu for the whole game. And even if this, like, wants to predict the Xatu port, it doesn't really do anything, you know? Like, great, you predicted my Xatu using teleport and Iron Defense again. I am going to teleport out to my Pisivian, I'm going to U-turn race you, and I'm going to come right back in. So it doesn't really matter. Like, the sequences never favor Roger Blutar. Now, Mantine's back out. He actually does port instead of just hard switching into the Vaporeon, but this gives him a sub. You can even just Brave Bird again. Yeah, he's gonna just try to slowly chip away at the Bronzong. Issue obviously being that Bronzong's going to have rest. Like, that is always run on these ones pretty much. And he's gonna go back out to this again on the trick. Really well played so far by Sensei Axie to catch these tricks. And it really well played from Rodri there. Oh my lord, wait. Yo, I love those two turns. And then it eats the fucking edge. Oh my lord, I love those two turns. Axie predicting the trick yet again, and it's still getting tricked on the Galarian next turn. Hey, yo. And in the Pacific, it's a big CC crit. And, I mean, I wouldn't even say that this means anything about this being like... Well, is that CV pass then? Because this could be like... I still have the calc. So, as we noted before, right? Vaporeon runs some Spadef nowadays. Right. Okay, don't scroll down there. But this is still the damage versus Spadef Vaporeon, right? Like, you're not doing as much as you'd like. So that crit doing 90? Yo, that crit doing 90 is insane. What does that mean? I think it means that this Vaporeon is, like, fully physically defensive. Yeah, okay. So that is a full Fizdef Vaporeon and a low roll from Passimian CC. Okay. Anyhow, I mean, the Vaporeon on Sensei Axu's team is still going to find turns to heal up, right? He can always try to dodge Hurricane from Mantine, and because it's paralyzed, it gives him an even better chance to get the Wish off. Yeah, that does so much. Stop that. And the unfortunate thing, too, is it's like, you're having to Stone Edge this. And yeah, getting up rocks does not matter. He is Defog. Ooh, wait, I forgot there's Passimian on the other side, though. And he is going to make a very good Volt Switch there. Sandaconda reveals that it's Rock Tomb as he goes to Xatu. I don't think this matters that much. Rock Tomb is not going to do enough. Like, shoutouts where Mudsdale would be a little bit better here just because you could hit it with Smackdown. And since it does get the Vaporeon, and finally, this is what he needed. So now he's going to be able to get this back up. He actually gets the Scald off on the Rotom. Doesn't get the Burn, which kind of sucks. But he's still making this thing slowly but surely come back into the game. And I think that is going to be really helpful, just for scouting out Pass, for soft-checking Dragalge, especially with his Galarian being dead, and even maybe pressuring Bronzong into going for rest. You know, we are going to see Sensei Axu's Passimian pick off the Rotom Mow there, and afterwards you just go sack the Galarian to Dragalge. I think you just go back out to Braviary? Yeah. As this gives you turns to sub. The problem is this Bronzong is still, like, you know, it's at half. So we're not breaking through it anytime, right? He's still gonna go for some chip. Which I think is, like, fine. Because at the end of the day, you still have your Xatu, which perpetually will wall this Bronzong. Also, him not having revealed rest yet is still a little surprising to me. I think I'll reveal it here. No, huh. You are rest, right? I'm not convinced he's rest. Also, hey, that died to Psychic. I forgot how much that did the first game. In the Hoenn game, seeing the Xatu do like 88 to pass. Yeah, I forgot that. Simi does not have good special bulk. You know, Braviary's gonna Brave Bird the Dragalge as he flip turns, which is a little bit unfortunate for Rodri. But he always gets the Bronzong back out here. He might just not be resting because he doesn't need to. Like, his Bronzong is, if it's around half, it's not really ever threatened by anything on Sensei's side. And here we are going to see the Bronzong start Iron Defensing up. Heat Wave going to do negligible damage. I mean, Bronzong, here's the thing though, right? It doesn't break Xatu. And there is the rest. Okay. About to say, if you're not rest Bronzong, what the hell? If Vaporeon now, I mean, Vapo can come out now and just get some health back. So that's pretty good for Sensei. There's not a whole lot to comment on here. This is going to be PowerPoint stalling. And yeah, fun fact, the next game's not any better if it gets to a point just like this. Except arguably a little bit sadder because of the turns leading up to the PowerPoint stalling, and it just, like, the futility with which it feels like the game was being played at that point. That's not a knock against, the user that was getting PowerPoint stalled. I guess I won't spoil. That's not a knock against them. It's more just like, damn, he's still trying to play out to whatever win con there might be, but it doesn't end up mattering at all. Oh god. I don't think Bronzong ever does anything here, you know? I mean, Xatu doesn't break it, but also, were these body... Okay, no, those are body presses after Roost. Yeah, no, this is why Xatu's such a good check to Iron Defense Bronzong, by the way. It does not matter how much its thing boosts versus you. You are not dying to it. Yeah, these Psychics are also good, just to fish for the special defense drops. But also because as he's using Psychic, this Mon isn't getting enough, or isn't losing enough HP to where it can go for rest. Which is actually kind of like good, right? You want to force it to use the other power points. As every time this mon gets to go for rest, it is getting to... What's it called? Yeah, it's getting to rest off, go to sleep, and then burn turns where you're not using power points, but your opponent might be. Now, since I can still just switch spam during those sequences, like, that doesn't matter too much. But I think it is still, like, worth playing too. I'm gonna put this on fast, because we need to get through these turns. I'm trying to see if anything happens in the rest of this game. We're gonna see a special defense drop versus Xatu. That is mildly important, just forcing it maybe out. Because if the Xatu switches out, then, like, you know, say the Vapo gets body pressed, it probably is just dying. Not with a burn, of course, but, you know, otherwise, might just be dying. He is down to only 5 psychics left, though. And yeah, so, like, if he had body pressed on that turn, right, and wasn't burned, that would have been a little bit problematic. But now, he's just gonna get his, you know, guys back to full. Doesn't matter again. He actually does end up switching there. This already burned all the sleep turns, though, so, I mean, it's just gonna Iron Defense up. You know, this is like... I don't know if Braviary ever does it this game. Most of this game really just is, I think, coming down to, does Rodri outstall or does Sensei outstall? I will give him this much. You can go for all these bulk ups here, because Xatu, at the end of the day, just comes in versus this. Is it, will he bulk again or sub? Yeah. He's trying to get as much power points buried as he can. A nice thing, too, is because of sub, you can do it safely without even worrying about getting, you know, crit by body press or something. Actually also gets burned again. I think every time this rests, though, you could... Yeah, you just go into Braviary. Yep, bulks again. Might be slower than Sanda, so, yep, switch. Yeah, I think at this point you just try to play to outstalling the Bronzong with your Braviary, though. Combination of sub and bulk up give you enough turns to waste power points. And as we're seeing too, this is getting low on Iron defenses. So we're going to reach, eventually, that breakpoint where Rodri is just forced to stay in and commit. Like, he'll have to commit to the body press sweep. And so long as Xatu is at enough health, so long as he can, you know, funnel in some wishes and roosts between Vapo and Braviary, I don't think Rodri Blutar wins the War of Attrition. This combination of Braviary, Vaporeon, and Xatu, I do think will end up being enough to keep Sensei Axu from losing this game. That Rock Tomb does not do enough to actually threaten anything. The Sandaconda does reveal Rest, which is kind of to be expected. Could have been Glare, though. Could have been, like, you know, Glare, EQ, Rock Tomb, Rocks. I think that would have been fine as well. This is just, again, gonna go for bulk up with this thing stays asleep, so you always sub here. Or Brave Bird. That's fine. Actually, yeah, Brave Bird's a little bit better, because it probably kills Sandaconda. And he's also trying to just force damage on the Bronzong. Which I think is also good, because you can force it to start Iron Defensing up if you make Rodri feel that he's getting too low on health with the Bronzong. And yeah, at this point, just try to make him waste Iron Defenses. Once this thing is out, Braviary sweeps. So by keeping damage up on this during those turns that it's asleep, you're able to make him wake up and immediately start boosting himself. And I think that is how you end up winning this game long term. That does 36, man. I think you just Brave Bird again here. Or sub. Either would be okay. Yeah, keep making him feel that he's getting too low on health. I mean, yeah, I'm about to say you just bulk up again, right? You don't need to go Xatu yet. Yeah. So I think here's where we're seeing Sensei just committing to saying, you know what? No. Use those last Iron Defenses, buddy. Because Bronzong only gets to switch out one more time if it wants to boost up fully. Also, I do really like him not giving this thing a rest. Just force him to stay awake. And right at this point, Brave Birds still aren't doing a whole lot. But Braviary is able to pretty safely maneuver around the Bronzong. Yeah, he can rest, but it's like, it doesn't do anything for you long term. Braviary is significantly better off on power points, so you're not worried about this particular exchange. It is smart, I feel, by Rodri to only use 2, because you don't need the rest. I think at this point we might just be waiting for Braviary to crit. Because it will KO the Bronzong. That mon is not living a crit. Yeah, like, if you get crit on this turn, you are gone. Okay, he does bulk up. I think he more just had, like, if he gets crit on the turn before he wakes up, I'm assuming Brave Bird crit into Brave Bird will get rid of the Zong. And yeah, at this point, he's just trying to get through those last power points, not giving him any damage to go for rest, force him to use the Psychics and Body Presses. Honestly, I was kind of thinking that maybe Sensei Axie was going to lose this game. It felt like Rodri's Bronzong had, like, the potential, you know, like however many turns ago it was, 70 it feels like at this point, to maybe do something with Iron Defense. I severely underestimated, though, how effective these guys would be at stalling, and I mean, yeah, at this point it's over. The Braviary is at +6/+6. Bronzong switched out. It won't die from full, but it's going to take a lot. Let's see the damage here. Yeah, 70. Okay. Yep, this is over. Nice little Braviary sweep. Not bad. I like how this game was played overall. I think this was a pretty damn good game. I think both players made some really good reads. At the end of the day, Rodri did end up getting to the point where Braviary was going to be hard to stop. Since Axu managed his power points, or when I say his, I mean he managed like Rodri's power points very well. And he won because of it. Alright, it's the last game. And this is, as I said, this game feels very sad at the end of it. This is the only one that I did end up watching pretty much all of. But for a preview, yeah, farm preview. So I remember feeling at the beginning of the game that Inteleon actually had a like pretty decent matchup here, right? While he does have like Bronzong, which could have some special bulk on it, as a additional means of checking this Inteleon, in general, Ice Beam just feels very free this game. You're not too worried about the Bronzong, of course, because you have Xatu to keep it in check, and even Sylveon is good at keeping up with Iron Defense Bronzong, forcing it to use some power points. And so you're not overly worried if you are making those Ice Beam reads of the Zong coming in. If anything, you'd be worried about like Exploud maybe coming in on one of them and not being too KO'd. I don't actually know that calc off the top of my head. Guess we can check it here. I do know that it ends up being Silk Scarf Exploud, but that doesn't matter for this calc. And okay, yeah, so Specs Inteleon actually does 2-hit KO, it looks like. Change that to Timid. +1. Yo, Hydro Pump as well. Oof. Yeah, so Ice Beam would 2-hit KO the Exploud, so we're not, you know, if we're Confide, we're not worried about the Exploud coming in on an Ice Beam or anything. Ooh, just nailed my desk with my leg. That didn't feel good. Oh, my lord. Ow. I will say, I do think Series Exploud from preview was pretty threatening. This ends up being Scarf Togedemaru, and so it's not going to take hits well. Silk Scarf Exploud does like 66 or something to it. Just imagine that was Specs. Like, I remember watching this game and thinking to myself, damn, this thing about to do 80 to this Togedemaru. And it's like a Confide's team, right? It's like, unless he is one of those Sylveon that goes like 88 special defense EVs with a calm nature, Exploud is doing a million. But like, this feels like another one of those games where it's just like, I have to lead Confide here for preview because Bronzong is how this team wants to win. You know, Croak's trying to break primarily, and even then, unless it is low kick, it's going to struggle to get by Mudsdale. Rotom Mo, El Momento de Guzzlord. You know, I'm just not worried about Rotom Mo if I'm Confide here. You've got also Togedemaru. And while Scarf takes a lot from Leaf Storm, you can still keep up with it fine enough. But let's see how this game ends up going, right? Unfortunately, Confide forgot his nicknames. It's very unfortunate for him. I feel like I have to dock a couple social credit points for that. Anyhow, Guzzlord gets to freely knock turn 1, which is always great. And especially if you're trying to get... was gonna say get rid of the Mudsdale. I mean, there's the Toxic was there. But that's also just really helpful for this Guzzlord long term. You're not gonna be doing a lot of damage, but already getting rid of lefties early is cool. Just makes it easier to make that progress. And yeah, haha, Boom Burst does 1,000,000. But you do get the EQ damage here. And that's important, of course, because it makes Inteleon, you know, hey, this can't even scout for Ice Beam now. The Rat's gonna come out here. And I remember seeing this play and I was like, damn, this Togedemaru's about to get his world shaken. And yeah, 63. Also, though, I guess I should probably note this. This getting its lefties knocked just means Togedemaru is even closer to a Zing Zap sweep. He does have to get past Rotom Mow as well. But, you know, one of the Mons, getting rid of the immunity at least is huge. And Rotom Mow doesn't exactly want to try to trade hits with Toj. And I just assume this is going to get a Wish Pass at some point. Because of the Sylveon on the team. Like, I always feel like that's reasonable to guess. And because this isn't Specs, this is at higher health. And because it isn't Specs, the Guzzler is also not as pressured by Boom Burst. You live it anyway, but it's not a huge deal how much damage you're taking. And since this is Drain Punch Croak as well, this just makes me feel more and more like Confide's gonna win. Also, yeah, Cosmic Power Xatu, the demon returns. But I also want to say this for Confide's favor. Drain Punch Croak does not beat Mudsdale as reliably as Low Kick does. So not only is SD Croak looking like maybe a little hard to win with, not impossible to, because you got this thing low. So if it doesn't get the Wish Pass, you know, you're fine. But you got two Mons that are kind of shutting down your primary ways of setting up and breaking through the opposing team. Also, just El Momento double Volt Switch immunity. Yeah, the Mons doesn't come out versus the T-Flame. Probably just throw off Smackdown, I guess. He actually rocks. I feel like these are getting defogged immediately by the Rotom. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. He actually goes Mudsdale first. Okay, so he's willingly leaving this Toxic. I mean, the Xatu always gets to bounce. Like, that's not a big issue. Something that is, I guess, worth paying attention to, though, is that the Xatu coming over to the Mudsdale is still a little risky for Confide if he's not yet at a point where he can win. Because you do have to play carefully around the possibility that you just lose your weakness policy. I don't think you necessarily need your policy intact to win this game if you Cosmic Power up to +6/+6. But it does make it a lot harder to get past Bronzong. So, I mean, there's that. Yeah, again, the Mudsdale is just going to force up rocks, which I think is a fine play. I mean, at this point, he's just trying to force random chip where he can onto like both the Rotom and the Mudsdale. Because the more chip he's able to force, the better of a chance this thing has of cleaning up a Zing Zap at some point. And yeah, so here's what I meant by the risk. It's not like a huge deal if you don't have a weakness policy later, but it makes you a lot weaker. And something that's going to happen a lot this game too that I do want to touch on right now is this Rotom Mow constantly threatening a trick. Because of how low Togedemaru is, it can't really risk coming in versus Rotom Mow even to absorb the trick, because you might just get blown back by Leaf Storm. Obviously, you don't want Sylveon getting tricked, because then that Mon is just not, it's not real at that point. It's not a real team slot. And so, if Xatu ever gets tricked, you don't win. You will not win the game. At least not with Xatu. Now we're going to see the Heal Bell finally come out here. Togedemaru is now again officially enabled to actually play the game. And since we see Brave Bird Talon, we are going to get a Wish Pass here. Very free, very free. You know, even if he wisps there, it's not a huge deal. The Croak does come out here though. And I remember when I was spectating this game, I was very worried for Confide. Because Toxicroak looks like it could just win here if he goes for S&D and this thing is not Nuzzle. Togedemaru can run other moves last. You can run Toxic, you can run Encore. I would throw Wild Charge in there, but you don't really see that this gen, because there's not a target like, say, Sigilift that you occasionally just need Wild Charge for to KO. Or maybe it was Aerodactyl. One of the two birds in Gen 7 and you actually like one Wild Charge for occasionally. But because this thing gets nuzzled, it's no longer anywhere near as threatening. You know, Sylveon can come out in H-Voice. But just think, if this was the wrong last move, he won. And yeah, so here's where the futility starts. I'm gonna let y'all know right now. So this Rotom Mow always has to be incredibly careful when it comes out. It is at 5% because of that Sylveon Edge voice that it got off to defog. And I feel like even a 20 base power store power is Xatu's threatening. But here's where Confide also has to be really careful. Because if this thing gets tricked, he loses the game. Like, just raw. The Bronzong will set up to +6/+6, and inevitably it will win. And here's why we say it's futile. He misses a Leaf Storm. And he's going to miss another one too, by the way. I'm going to spoil that right now. He misses another Leaf Storm. We're going to see a really great double again from Siri, though. He plays this Rotom Mow so well. He makes all the plays he needs to try to like get his Bronzong in a position where it could win, right? Or even where Rotom Mow could force the trick onto Xatu. Or at least try to. And it just doesn't work. Now, here's something that's worth noting. We are actually going to see this Sylveon eventually get hit by the Leaf Storm. I think he's eventually just going to play it safer, and we're also going to see another double again. Like, he's making every aggro play he can. So Leaf Storm, you know, it does only 36. So he was never really at risk of losing if Togedemaru got caught by one or maybe even both of those. The main thing is that it takes away the ability for maybe the Sylveon to be forced to attempting to wish pass to Toge. And if you can keep that Mon low, then it's like you think maybe Rotom Mow can just start safely, continuously Volt switching around. It gives missing both Leaf Storms means you don't have either hit of damage, and it means that you lose a lot of momentum. This Togedemaru is not worried right now about switching into Rotom Mow. It knows it could do it at least once. And it just takes away a lot of the ability for Sarah to guarantee that he can keep dictating the game how he wants to. Yes, he's on the back foot, but you're still seeing him make these like really good plays. You know, whether it's doubling in consistently as Xatu comes out, whether it's Leaf Storming the Togedemaru switch-ins. He's not at risk. I also was thinking, he plays this Rotom the whole game like it has Trick, right? I'm not convinced that it does. I think it might be like T-Bolt last. Because I feel that at some point he would have pulled the trigger. Now maybe he was just really sure that he would never get a chance to. But it just ends up feeling like he doesn't have it. And also here, yeah, again, he constantly is Leaf Storming. Here he finally gets caught for it. And at this point, we're putting this on hyper fast. Because the Bronzong has literally zero way to win this game. I mean, so long as this Mon is forced with facing Xatu, it just does not have the ability to ever get the sweep off. Especially once he goes to sleep here and gets all his health right back. As long as Confide never goes for an attack versus Bronzong, it is forced to burn all of its other power points. And the big thing about this set, right, is it's supposed to be able to win some of these Wars of Attrition through wasting turns while asleep. You force your opponent to burn their power points while you're just, you know, sleeping. I mean, that's really it. And he doesn't get that luxury this game. Because Confide is playing it so smart. And he's saying, no, I won't attack you. I don't need to attack you. And that's kind of amplified too, like the ease with which you can do it, just because Xatu doesn't have Rocky Helmet. Yeah, as we see, this game's over. But I think both this game and I forget which other replay it was, and I closed the window, so I can't even go check. But I think this game and that it was the Rodri game, both are really good showings of how you can play around Iron Defense Bronzong and why even, you know, just why Xatu's so good right now. Bronzong is a defining Pokemon in the tier. Xatu shuts it down so hard. And it's not like Caparaja, which can, you know, I was going to say innovate. Not really the right word, but Caparaja's got like a little bit of leeway. I believe TDK used it week 1, but he had like offensive stealth route Caparaja. And you 2-hit KO Xatu. You know, you're doing like upwards of 75, I think, with Heavy Slam. And it's not possible for Xatu to stall you out, really. It can still get some helmet chip, but it doesn't just sit in front of you as easily as it does those you know, bulkier sets. Or like just every Bronzong set, unless you're Sabla and just running Shadow Ball Bronzong. But I think we saw some really good showings this week. Once again, Xatu showing that it really does deserve its spot at the top of the VR. Not at the top of the VR. That's where Talon is. But in the higher ranks of the VR. And just again, more really just disappointing Rotomo performances. I don't even think that this loss was like on Siri, this play, because I think he played it really well overall. I think Confide maybe just had a little bit better of a matchup. And Confide, I think, honestly just played a little bit better. You know, he was able to play so well to his win condition of Xatu. And while Xatu wasn't what really ended up winning the game for him, I think he put it in the perfect position to just sit around and just exist. And not be worried about anything. And I also like this game too just because it came down to the wire, right? Like, you're looking at, like, Siri making these really, really, really good plays. High risk, yeah, but high reward with his Rotomo, where he's just like constantly trying to throw it out versus Xatu and be like, hey, what if I tricked you here? I'm still left wondering, did this even have Trick last? Or was it like Thunderbolt? Hard to say, hard to say. But that's it for this coverage, I think, of Week 5. My god, this video is long. I hope y'all enjoyed this, though. If you did, man, leave a like. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Obviously, we'll be doing more, you know, PS Lives and more content like this in the future, so if you don't subscribe, you might just miss out on that, and that would be a damn shame. And yeah, I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.